Good afternoon, everyone. So today's session, as we have discussed already today about the session, so it's about the career development and all. So before the session starts, I want to introduce Arun sir. Uh, I want to give just a brief introduction about Arun sir. So Arun sir has completed his B engineering in computer science. So after completing that, sir has completed his MBA from Manchester Business School. After completing Sir's education, Sir joined Tata Consultant Services in the year 2009 as an assistant system engineer. So after completing that, Sir was in Indian Educational Service, where as a brand promotion and marketing manager. So after in the year that was in the year 2014. So Sir continued till 2000 to 2015. After that, in the year 2000, after this Indian Education Service, Sir joined as an center director of Global Reach in the year 2014, and sir is now right now the head of operations of Global Reach Siliguri branch. So he's a quite experienced person in this sector, and he can guide you and counsel you regarding your further career development. So I won't speak much, so I would like to hand over the entire thing to Arun sir, so Arun sir can better brief you on. So Arun sir, you can continue, sir.
Thank you, Abrasa. Thank you so much for the introduction. It's my honor.
Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon, friends. I'm Arun Agarwal. I think Sir has already given my introduction, so I'll straight away start my presentation. And maybe at the end of the presentation, we can have a Q&A query sessions. Is that fair enough?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. I'll just start my presentation. Yeah, I assume now everybody can see my presentation.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, the first slide, let me start, my friends. I believe most of you are in the final year of BBA, am I right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so the most important thing that I have learned from my education abroad and overseas and my experience is education is not the learning of facts, but training the mind to think. By this statement, I particularly want to mean to say that whatever you have learned in your BBA course, just the theoretical knowledge will not take you to the successful point of your careers. You really need to understand the concepts, the theory that you've studied. You really need to implement in real world. Then only you'll be able to be successful as a further if you get into a job field or you want to go for a further education. So the implementation of knowledge, whatever you have learned so far, is very important to make sure that you become a successful student for masters, or whether you are doing a job at a later stage. So today's discussion is more about what are the education options available for you, all of you after BBA in India and overseas. My field of expertise is more about overseas because that is what I've been doing for the last 8 years. But because I have been educated in India, I have worked in India, so and I deal with little bit India, queries as well. So I'll be able to give you a little bit overview about India as well. So am I audible? Could you please confirm if I'm able to? If everyone is able to hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
You're audible.
Perfect. Thank you. So I'll go to the next slide now. So if I'm not wrong, we are in Siliguri right now, where you are doing your IS BBA. Am I right, guys?
Yes, sir.
So most of you for after BBA, I assume for further education or for jobs, these are the major destinations in India where most of the students they pursue to go. For their jobs and education. The nearest would be Kolkata, Delhi NCR, Mumbai, Pune, and Bangalore. I assume these are the majority of the locations where you people are looking for your further career. Is it correct, or most of you want to settle down in Siliguri?
No, sir. This one
Sir,
only.
is it correct?
The
Okay,
cities.
so yeah, so this is one very important part that you have to understand that which locations you want to go to and what's the purpose of your travel. Second thing is we always have to keep in mind whether you go to Kolkata, whether you go to Mumbai, be it any part, but in today's demand, even though you are in India, your attitude, your actions, your thought process has to be global. For example, the simplest way I can give you is Even in a small place like Siliguri, we have Domino's, we have Hamleys, we have KFCs. They all are international brands, right? It means if you really want to become a manager of, let's say, a KFC, or if you want to become a manager of Hamleys, or if you really want to become, let's say, let's think big. Let's say you want to be the country head of Hamleys. Then in that sense, even though you have an Indian education, your thought process, your has to be very much global. It means even in India, we are there. Our attitude has to be global. Our thought process has to be global. It's very, very important. Otherwise, we will not be able to get good career opportunities in global companies, or we call them as multinationals, MNCs.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is called AC scenario. We had heard before BC, that is before Christ, and AD. Am I right? But now things will change. One is called BC, that is before COVID-19, and AC, that is called after COVID-19. The way we think, our lifestyle, our approach, job, education, things will change drastically after COVID 19. COVID 19 will take at least another 1 year to completely wipe off. I mean, by the word completely wipe off, in the sense, the vaccines to invent, implementation of the vaccine, reaching the vaccine to all the people. So it means things will change drastically in the coming next 1 year. Are you guys with me?
Yes, sir.
So
Yes,
I
sir.
believe IIS College has always been promoting the concept of further education, that is post graduation. They strongly believe that the students after BBA should go for further education rather than just going for jobs. Why? Especially after COVID 19, I'm sure most of you are reading newspapers and going through articles. People are losing jobs. People with a lot of skills, people with a lot of experience are losing jobs. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
it
Yeah.
it
Yes, sir.
means it means a student who has just done a BBA, who, especially who is a fresher, would really be difficult for you, first of all, to grab a job, secondly, to sustain a job. So it's very important for you to have a post graduation degree. If not post graduation, at least you should look into improving your skills. So what kind of skills I'm talking about? uh, as far as my knowledge goes, because I go to international universities, I meet different employers very frequently. There are few skills that most of the employers are looking for. The skills will give you an edge over your other competitors. I mean, your other people who are appearing for the interview or for education. First skills most of these companies are looking for is language skills. Yes, language skills. So if you know an extra new language, that will always give you an advantage over others. And for example, right now the most popular language is Chinese. The second most popular language is Japanese. Third most popular language is German. When we were kids in the schools, we were told to learn French, if I'm not wrong. We were told to learn Spanish, if correct. But now, as per the demand, most of the companies will really give you a lot of importance if you have skills of learn a Chinese language or a Japanese language or a German language. Similarly, employers are giving a lot of importance to students, or let's say uh, the universities will give you a lot of importance if you have IT skill. By the word IT, I mean to say information technology. For example, if you know Tally, if you know Photoshop, if you have the skill set to, let's say, Java. So this kind of skills a BBA student generally don't have. Am I right? It's not a part of your curriculum, correct?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
but even if you are going for a master's degree or whether you're going for a job, you must have these skills that will give you an advantage. I have a lot of students. For example, one of the students from Siliguri, Alipta, she learned German and she went for masters. So what happened was when she reached the university, one of our professors was doing a project for from Germany. I mean, he was doing a project of a German company. So the professor wanted an intern who knew German language. And coincidentally, my student Alipta, she had learned German language. And immediately once she reached the university, she got a internship, and she was being paid about $40 per hour. So she was also doing her masters, and she also got an intern, and she was really well paid. And the internship would the internship certificate would give her a lot of advantages later on for a scholarship, or let's say for getting an employment. So are you understanding the importance of this kind of soft skills? So
Yeah, yes,
when
sir.
you, so even let's say if you're looking for a job, or if you're looking for a master's, let's say doing a master's, let's say you go for an MBA. So most of the times you would be required to give a presentation. So just knowing the basic of PowerPoint will not help you. Or let's say you have to make a lot of artwork. So if you know a Photoshop, that will give you a lot of advantage. For example, I did my master's at University of Manchester. So I found from my real-time experience, my colleagues, my students, my batchmates who had better IT skills, they were able to cope up much better than the students who didn't have much of IT skills. So there are a lot of things. For example, let's say if you know swimming, if you know how to drive, if you're a good photographer. So these are the small things that we generally tend to ignore on a day-to-day basis. We just think that getting good marks or just completing the syllabus will give us an advantage. Yes, that's very important. But please understand, now we are in the era where COVID has happened, and we will be looking for career opportunities after COVID, where we will be competing with people, not just freshers, our batchmates. We'll be competing with people who have vast amount of experience. We'll be competing with people who have immense knowledge. So to stand with them, we need to grab these skills. I hope you guys are with me on this.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, another thing that I would really like to highlight is, please remember, unlike the past, when I mean, let's say when I had graduated, now we have plenty of online resources which we can really make use of. We may not have a faculty to teach me, let's say, a German. I may not have a faculty to teach me IT skills, but trust me, guys, there are a lot of online resources which you really can make use of. Even let's say if you want to prepare for a CAT exam for an MBA, or let's say if you want to prepare for any kind of exam or anything. So there are a lot of online resources that you should really make use of. I have been told by IS, Anshuman sir and Abhinandan and everyone, that even IS has provided a lot of online resources to all of his students, if I'm not wrong. So please make use of it. And there are two, three international websites that I would like to. I mean, you people can note down if you have if you people can see my presentation. One is called EDX. That's an online resource open platform by Harvard and Stanford. It's a collaboration website. The other one is called Khan Academy. The third one is, it's an, I think, Indian website called Unacademy. So any kind of skills that you're looking for, any coach, any tutorial or anything, I mean, you can use these online resources right now. You people are at home, you don't have much of resources to go outside your home and study. So please make use of these online resources. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Sir, so I mean, I'm sure you people are able to note down this name of these websites: EDX, Khan Academy, Unacademy. All these websites have tremendous amount of online resources, and most of these resources are free. So please make use of these resources. I mean, try to get some new skills. Now come the next point. What are the career options? I mean, in terms of education, if after BBA, the most popular option that I find with my Indian students is the majority of them want to go for an MBA. That's Masters of Business Administration. It's generally a 2-year degree, but again, majority of the top Indian institutes, let's say I am Ahmedabad, I am Bangalore. These most of these institutions, you need to give an entrance exam called CAT, Common Admission Test. So again, on an average, majority of my students, what I've seen them is they need at least about 6 months of time of preparation. And generally there are two sections. One is called uh, aptitude, and the other one is called English. Aptitude is more about basic maths, and English is again, English. So again, a lot of online resources are available. Again, MAT is another set of exams. So I will highly recommend you to, if you're targeting an MBA, please make sure you go get into an elite institute. Otherwise, just doing an MBA for the heck of it, or just doing it from a distance degree will not take you much. I mean, will not really benefit you. I've met a lot of students who have done an MBA from any ABCD college, but that will take you nowhere. So if you're planning to do an MBA, please make sure that you crack the entrance exam like CAT, MAT. For example, for Symbiosis, you have SNAP. So most of the institutions, they have an entrance exam. So I will highly recommend, please give yourself at least 4 to 6 months of time of preparation. Even though you don't have a very good coaching in available in Siliguri, doesn't matter. That should not stop you from being successful. You can make use of online resources. I'm insisting a lot on online resources because uh, most of my good students these days that I meet, they are studying online and they're doing really, really good. It's all about your determination. The other few courses that are getting really popular, that are very much in demand, but I think a lot of students are not aware of. One of them is called project management. Project management is a course where you have to manage an entire project from step 1 to step 10. It's a very big responsibility. So project management is a very good course where you are taught about how to manage an entire project, not just one of the process or one of the steps. You handle a complete project. So let's say Amazon wants to set up let's say Amazon wants to set up an entire go down in Siliguri, or let's say a government wants a particular project to be done in Siliguri or wherever. So you will be responsible for the entire project from the research to implementation. So the pay scale is good, very good, and the opportunities are immense. Because project management, it can be applicable to any kind of field, be it a construction project, be it a business project, anything. That's a very important. That's a very good course that a lot of my students are doing it, and they're getting really good pay and really good job opportunities. The next very much popular course, I would say it's a hot cake right now globally. Recently, I was in Australia a few months back for my training. Globally, right now, one of the most popular courses is called business analytics. Few institutions also call it as data analytics, or few institutions also call it as data science. Most of these IT companies, Google, Facebook, all the top-notch companies, Apple, they are mostly working on business analytics, and they need a huge number of people. In fact, most of the successful multinational companies, they're hiring people with business analytics skills. It's in demand. Again, my cousins, whom I have been counseling, majority of them have been studying right now masters in business analytics. It's an amazing course. If you're not aware of it, I request you to please do a little bit of Google, and you will find tremendous information about business analytics. And it's an amazing study option if you're really, really very serious about your career. The next course that I want to talk, it may not be suitable for most of the BBA students, but BBA students are eligible for this kind of courses. If you are able to do this course, for example, IT course, information technology courses, AI, that's called artificial intelligence. The next one is called cyber security. I know it sounds a little odd for a BBA student to study artificial intelligence or cyber security, but trust me, I have students from BBA background who are going for this kind of courses. Yes, you have to put in a little bit of extra effort. It may not be a very smooth ride for you, but one thing I can assure you from my experience is, no, nobody can stop you from getting a really, really a good pay, a good, sorry, excuse me, a good job. Artificial intelligence and cyber security is in demand globally. There is a huge shortage of people with AI background and cyber security. Right now, for cyber security, the top-notch country in the world is Israel. Please do a research on this. And all my students who have done AI and cybersecurity, they have landed with a job. So guys, are you with me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
I hope it
Yeah.
makes sense what I'm trying to say.
Yes, sir.
So even if you, let's say if a student wants to go for an IT course, you may not have the skills for let's say IT skills, in the sense you may not be learning You may not be very much aware of technical things. So what you can do is you can take some extra courses to complete your, I mean, to make your foundation strong, and then you may can pursue these kind of courses. I will highly recommend this kind of courses if you're really very much particular about getting a good job. After MBA, those who are really very again a very research oriented, of course they can go for a PhD, but that would be something secondary. About masters, let me explain you something. Masters in India is generally a 2-year degree. So it's generally a 2-year degree, and overseas it differs from country to country. Some countries also have a master's of 1 year. For example, UK generally has a master's of 1 year. New Zealand generally has a master's of 1.5 years. USA generally has a master's of again about 1.5 2 years. So again, Canada again generally they have a master's of 1.5 years. So it varies from country to country. But yes, doing a master's, you should make sure that you do a master's in a course that you're really passionate about. You should make sure that if you're doing a master's, that is actually what you want to do. Please do not do a master's just for the heck of it, otherwise it will take you nowhere. Thank you. I'll go to the next slide. So I'll talk a little bit about overseas education. I know right now this is not the right time to discuss about overseas education because most of the international borders are closed. I wanted to talk about, I assume most of you know how the Indian education system works. I wanted to also discuss about overseas education. There is a huge scope for mediocre students, in the sense, even if a student who is in the score between 75-80% or let's say 70%, even they can do really well because they have the option of doing part-time jobs. The basic pay is very high, so there is a huge scope for mediocre students. Even if they land up with a job of let's say about 35-40,000 dollars, they can make a good living. The second thing that you have to remember overseas education is the transparent process. The admission process is very transparent. So I mean, if you are eligible, you'll be by default you'll be getting a scholarship if your score is for example, we have a student, she was a gold medalist from SRM University Chennai. She got a 50% scholarship from University of Sydney, which is like top 10 in the world. Another advantage of overseas education is exchange programs. Exchange program means, let's assume you do one semester in a particular country. Let's say you do a one semester in UK. The second semester you can do in another country. The third semester again you can come back to your parent university, let's say the UK. So you get, along with the studies, you also get an opportunity to travel and experience. Fourth, quality rankings. So most of these global universities have world rankings, which gives you a lot of advantage because the universities which have world rankings, most of the professors, they are PhD holders and they are into research work. So if you are really a good student, if you are able to prove your skills, you can be a part of, you can become an intern and help your professors. Research oriented and practical approach. So most of the courses overseas, they're very much up to date and very much practical. They go with the industry requirements. Fourth, vast, and the next one is vast field of specialization. So let's assume a BBA student wants to do let's say hospitality course. A BBA student wants to do a hospitality course. So even that is possible. So the variation is immense. Any specialization. Last year I had a student who had done a BBA. Now he wanted to do a master's in sports management. Please get it what I'm trying to say. There was a student who had done a BBA. Now, because he watched IPL, he was very much fond of sports, so he wanted to study masters in sports management. So that's a very unique thing. So yeah, so that even that kind of course is available. So any kind of specialization that you want to do, majority of the times you'll be able to find a specialization of your liking, specialization of a career that you want to study. Scholarships are immensely available. I mean, scholarships is not a barrier. If you are eligible, if you can really prove yourself, scholarships is again a lot of available. One big advantage of overseas education is you get to meet students from all over the world. I mean, every corner of the world you get to interact. You get to know new culture. You understand how people think, what is their approach. That is one very important part of overseas education. Employability and jobs. Most of the developed countries, they have a concept of minimum pay. So whatever be kind of job, they have minimum for example, let's say New Zealand has a minimum pay of 15 New Zealand dollars. Australia has about $18. So that gives it, so you're not exploited. So that is gives you very much that even if you're a student, people will not exploit you. And most of these countries, along with studies, you can do part-time jobs. So your cost of living you can earn on your own. And more than earning, it's also about getting experience. Along with studies, you get experience. That will give you an advantage when after your completion of your degree, when you apply for jobs, if you have a very good work experience, that will give you an advantage. Post-study work visa. So most of the countries, they give you post-study work visa. Means once you complete your masters, you can stay there for about, let's say, 2 year or 3 year, look for a job. Once you find a job, the company will extend your visa. So it's not that once you complete a degree you have to come back. So most of the countries will give you a post-study work visa. One important point, a lot of students, they go overseas is they get, a lot of countries give you PR opportunities, permanent residency opportunities. It means you can apply for the citizenship of that particular country where you have done your studies. So students, are you with me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so
Yes,
I'll go to
sir.
the next
Yeah.
slide. So this is one of the reviews that we received from one of our clients. His name was Rahul Sarkar. He did his BCom from St. Xavier's, Kolkata. Now he went for a 1 year degree in Canada. He's already completed the degree and he's now working there. So yeah, so again, the student is from Siliguri and he did his BCom from St. Xavier's, Kolkata. So he was a very good student. He's another student. He did his class 12th from Don Bosco School, Siliguri. He did a BBA from Amity, Noida, and then he went for a degree called Masters of Global Business. 4 months in Dubai, 4 months in Singapore, and then 4 months in Australia. So basically, along with his degree, he traveled three countries. He learned culture of three countries. So that is the advantage of the overseas education. It's not just about the degree; it's about the whole experience and exposure. So I mean, this is where we are located, just near to Cosmos Mall. Your faculties would share my contact details with you. I mean, from my end, this is what I wanted to talk to you. It was a very generic and short presentation. I wanted to just touch upon little things, just to give you an overview how what all you can think, so you can think of improving your skills. You can think of preparing for your entrance exams for MBA. You can plan for other kind of courses. You can plan to learn your different languages. So this is what I wanted to make you people aware of, and this was what I wanted to talk about. So now I'm open to questions if any student would like to talk to me or some query they have.
Yeah, students, if you have any kind of questions, any kind of queries, you can right now ask sir. So he's out here. So please, any kind of queries.
Sir, I have a question.
Please,
Sir, I have searched in the Google also many a times, and I
please.
have found that which one will be the most better, doing an MBA in accounts and finance or doing a CMA course?
To be honest, first thing you please understand, I'll tell you which is better, but please always understand, first thing you should always identify is what's your passion. Fine. Why? How do you understand what is your passion? I will also tell you the steps on how to identify your passion. First is, let's say you said MBA in accounts and finance, right? Correct?
Yes, sir.
My suggestion would be, please make sure you go to, let's say, any particular university which offers you MBA in accounts and finance. Make sure you open the entire curriculum means the syllabus that you will be learning in that course in the 2 years. It's a 2 year course, right? So please make sure you open the entire curriculum, go through the curriculum, that what they will be teaching you. Similarly, the second parallel, you said CFA, correct?
Sir, CMA.
CMA. So again, CMA, if I'm not, to be honest, CMA, if I'm not wrong, it's a certification course. It's not a degree, if I'm not
Yes,
wrong.
sir.
It's a
Yes, sir.
certification. there is a difference between certification and a degree. So first is you have to understand what's your priority, getting a certification or getting a degree. Second thing is you should try to analyze the syllabus, the curriculum that you'll be studying in the two, and you should analyze whether which makes you more interested. Because just doing a degree thinking ki theek hai, okay, if I do an MBA I'll get a better job or a better opportunity will not help you. Because even if you do a CMA, which is a very very good course, there is no doubt about it, but you have to make sure that the curriculum that you will be studying you're really interested in.
Okay, sir.
So there is, what in short what I'm trying to tell you is there is no right or wrong, or there is no good or better. In the sense, let's say if I do an MBA and if I don't do a CMA, that doesn't mean that CMA is bad, or if I do a CMA and if I don't do an MBA, that doesn't mean that MBA doesn't have good career opportunities. First thing is, let's say if you do an MBA, you have to make sure that you do it from a really good institution, grade A institution. Hello.
Yes.
And second thing you have to make sure is MBA is more of a management degree, and CMA is more of a technical degree.
Okay, sir.
So that is, I
Uh,
mean, my suggestion would be that you should analyze the curriculum of the two and then decide on what you should do.
so there's a question from a student, Amy Shester. She's asking that, is there are there any good job opportunities overseas after BBA?
Excellent questions. To be honest, let's talk about the world after COVID-19. Uh, to be honest, the job scenario globally, including India, globally means I'm including India. I'm not discouraging you, I'm not disheartening you, but the reality is, after a plain BBA, it's very difficult to get a job even in India. So overseas, no chance. I would say even getting a job in India would become very difficult. Abrar sir, even you know it very well. So,
Yes, sir.
so if after BBA, if they are looking for a job, then I will highly recommend. Suppose let's assume she doesn't want to do a master's, then at least she has to make sure that she learns some new skills. New skills, as I said earlier, let's say a new language, new IT skills. Then maybe she can apply. But to be honest, it would be very difficult. Why? Because let's assume she wants to do a job in Canada, for example. So there are already a lot of students in Canada who have studied in Canada and looking for jobs, right?
Yes, sir.
So
Correct.
students who have studied in Canada and looking for jobs, they would be given first priority rather than a student who has not studied in Canada, who studied in India and wants to apply for a job in Canada. So most of the students, let's assume if they want to do a job in Canada, what they do is they will go for a 1 year course in Canada. They will study for 1 year in Canada and then apply for a job. Why? So if they study 1 year, they get to know the local culture, the domestic local culture, the local lifestyle and everything. And once they have a local degree of that particular country, they get an advantage. Hello.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Continue,
So
sir.
the only country that I can think of with a plain BBA degree where it would be easy to get a job, the only country that I right now I can think of is Dubai.
Okay.
But the developed countries like, let's say, UK, Australia, New Zealand, Canada, US, it's a very thin chance. In Dubai you can try, in Malaysia you can try. Let's say there is a football World Cup next year in Qatar. So what I'm trying to say, in these countries you can try, but developed nations would be very difficult, sir. I hope I have answered the question.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Uh, Anyone else? Any question regarding your career development and your further studies in India and in abroad? You can ask. Sir is out here, so he'll guide you. Please, anyone?
Sir, I have a question.
Mr.
Yes, please, sir, please tell me.
Sir, which is better between PGDM and MBA?
PGDM and MBA.
Yes, sir.
Okay, now first of all, I'll tell you the concept between MBA and PGDM. PGDM is postgraduate diploma in management. PGDM. postgraduate diploma in management, and MBA is Masters of Business Administration. Okay. So MBA is a full-fledged degree which is recognized by UGC, University Grant Commission of India.
Yes,
Whereas
sir.
PGDM is a postgraduate diploma. It's not a degree. Please understand. It's given in the name.
Yes, sir.
Postgraduate diploma. So it's not a degree. It's a diploma. So it's not
Yes, sir.
mandatory that a PGDM will be certified by UGC, University Grant Commission.
Yes, sir.
So if you talk to me technically, yes, technically MBA is a better choice than doing a PGDM. Why? Because MBA is a full-fledged degree and MBA is certified by UGC. Whereas a PGDM, let's say I open an institution in Siliguri and I can teach you for 2 years and I can give you a PGDM. It may not be certified by UGC.
Yes, sir. Is there a colleges in India which provides UGC degrees?
Sorry, I'm sorry.
Is there are any colleges in India which provides UGC diploma degrees?
I'm sorry, which diploma degree? I'm sorry.
Sir, PGDM.
Yes, of course, there are a lot of institutions in India which give you postgraduate diploma. It's in Kolkata. I mean, everywhere. I mean, it's a lot of plenty of institutions give you a PGDM degree. That's not a problem at all. That's not a
Thank
problem.
you.
So yes, a lot of institutions are available which offers PGDM degree. Not a problem at all. I mean, you can easily, so you have to identify which location you want to do a PGDM degree. Let's say Kolkata or a Bangalore or a Pune, and you can find a lot of institutions offering PGDM.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Mr. Agarwal, I have a question on behalf
Yes,
of
sir,
the
please.
students.
Yes, sir, please, sir.
See, you spoke about learning, if possible, one foreign language.
Of course, yes, sir. Of course, yes.
Now, in the Indian context,
Yes, sir.
we all have our own mother tongue.
Yes, sir.
Maybe Hindi, Bengali,
Yes, sir.
Nepali, etc.
Yes, sir.
How important is it to have a reasonable mastery over the English language in the education scenario?
Sir, if we are planning to do an MBA, let's say a master's degree overseas or India differs on the two. But of course, even if I'm planning to do a master's by 19, I'd say 100% of the times the master's would be in English degree. I mean English language. I mean to say, if the student is studying in India and in a grade A institute, let's say IIM or let's say top notch like Symbiosis or the Narsi Munji or let's say SP Jain, a student cannot survive without good skills of English. They will not be able to write the research papers. They will not be able to write their thesis. And if when it comes to overseas, it will be a disaster. I mean, I've seen a lot of students, especially from Punjab, they somehow manage and they land up overseas. I've met a lot of students. It's a disaster. If a student is planning to study in India or overseas anywhere, English has to be there. So there is no doubt to it, there is no escape to it. So majority of the countries, when a student goes abroad, or in fact in India also, they have now written test for English. Let's say CAT for India, CAT. They have now aptitude and English, so that the student, they know that the student knows English. If the student wants to go abroad, most of the students will have to give an IELTS exam or a TOEFL exam, which is an English exam. So in short, what I'm trying to say is there is no escape to English. The student has to know English. Otherwise, they cannot survive, even in terms of education, in terms of job. There is no escape to it, sir.
I had a specific reason behind asking you this
Yes, sir,
question
please.
because
Yes, sir.
when I first time met our BBA students, of course online, I haven't met them physically yet. I had
sir.
stressed on the importance of spoken English and written English both.
Absolutely, sir.
So I'm just getting a confirmation from you. So somehow when we get back to the college, we have
Yes.
the intention of creating an environment
Yes, sir.
where good, bad, wrong, right, but one has to speak English.
Sir, there is no escape to it. I mean, the students,
Exactly.
sir, please, I will request the students to please understand it is for themselves. They can survive without English their BBA, but once they pass out BBA, they cannot survive. They cannot run away. They cannot escape. They will be caught red-handed. So it's better they prepare themselves right now itself. This is a good time to prepare themselves. In fact, I was requesting them to learn an additional language beyond English also. If they're not
Yes,
knowing English, then no point learning an additional language.
correct, correct. Thank you for stressing it further.
Thank you, sir. Because I've seen it, because, sir, I interact with a lot of students from North Bengal and Sikkim. I see the students are really good. They have excellent scores, 90, 90 plus, but they can't communicate, they can't talk, they are not confident, which is a disaster. It's very important to communicate. Communication is the key to success in any field beyond college and within college. Thank you, sir.
No further questions from the students?
Students, any question you have, you can carry on. Okay, the session is open.
Students, I hope I have added some extra knowledge to you all. I mean, it's been beneficial to you all. Please, I'm repeating, soft skills is very important. The way you talk, the way you interact, and extra skills like IT skills, language skills, driving, photography, swimming, all these things is very important. Only the theoretical knowledge will take you nowhere. If you really want to be successful as a student for a master's or a successful as a employee, you really need to focus on extra skills. Getting good marks is important, but that is one of the parameters. You also have to focus on other parameters as well, especially in life after COVID-19, where things would become very, very competitive.
There are quite a few teachers present here of BBA. I
Yes,
would
sir.
also request them to take note of what
Thank
Mr. Agarwal has been saying and try and implement it in our, in our college environment.
Yes, surely, sir. Okay, sir, I have a question on
Yes, sir,
behalf of
please.
the students.
Yes, sir.
Suppose if, like we have seen in the foreign countries, like MBA, we need an experience, and then you can
Yes.
go for an MBA.
Yes,
So
sir.
suppose if a student wants to, uh, after BBA, directly go for any kind of master degree, then what will be the preference apart from MBA? Like specifically, if they want to go for marketing, finance, or HR, what will be the?
Okay.
Yes, sir. Just
So first of all, I'll talk about MBA. There are two kind of MBA. One is called Freshers MBA. The other one is called Experienced MBA. The Freshers MBA is for students who do not have any work experience. Those kind of MBA is not AMBA recruited, AMBA approved. AMBA is an international body which is very prestigious. So any institution offering MBA AMBA approved, the student needs to have at least about 3 years of work experience at managerial level. Student without any work experience can also do an MBA, but it will not be an AMBA approved, or it may not be the top 20 or top 30 institute globally, first of all. Secondly, if a student wants to do, let's say you're talking about marketing or finance, in India we have MBA in marketing or MBA in finance, but overseas you can do specializations that I was talking about in the presentation. A student can do a master's in finance, or let's say there is a course called, let's say for example, which is very popular these days, master's in fintech and business analysis, or let's say a master's in marketing. So students can do specializations as per their liking, and it need not be an MBA. Unlike India, in India it has to be an MBA in finance or MBA in marketing, but overseas you can do specializations and it may not be an MBA, sir.
thank you, sir. Thank you so much for.
So this is what I was insisting, sir, that if you remember, that overseas you have the options of specializations. A BBA student wants to do a sports management, or let's say a BBA student says that, sir, I want to manage a IPL team. So the student can go for a master's in sports management, where they will be taught about how to manage a sports event or how to manage a entire sports game.
I have one very contentious issue to ask you.
Okay, sir.
That is, you see, many of these master degrees from
Yes.
abroad
Yes, sir.
are not recognized for certain job situations or say doctoral degrees, etc.
Ye-
In India.
Okay,
Say
sir.
like getting a government job where a master degree is mandatory, whether
Yes, sir.
that master degree from abroad would be valid. One, two is if somebody wants to do a doctoral degree, whether
Yes.
that master degree again would be valid.
Uh,
This is a question where a lot of people they suffer from this
uh,
anxiety.
so I'll take on this question. As per the government of India, as per the UGC, a master's degree should be specifically 2 years old, if I'm not wrong, sir. Correct? So there are few countries like I told you, UK, which offers you masters of 1 year instead of 2 years. So the Indian government UGC says that if you have not done a master's of 2 years, you cannot apply for government jobs, or you cannot apply for a PhD or a doctoral in government institute. So yes, this is an issue. So this is where a lot of students, they prefer to do a master's which is a 2 year old, I mean, which is of 2 years duration instead of doing a 1 year master's. So this is the
Correct.
confusion. So let's say if I do a 1 year master's from UK, yes, I can apply, but I can apply for a job in a private company. For government, they may accept me, they may not accept me, because as per the government, a master's means it has to be a 2 years master's degree. For example, sir, overseas we have this concept called pathway in the sense, I'll tell you this concept. Let's say a student has scored 50% in class 12th, he's not directly eligible for a bachelor's degree. So what happens is they do a 1 year pathway course. It's called a diploma, 1 year diploma, and they get and then once they are
Correct.
successfully completed the diploma, they get admission into second year of the bachelor's degree. So the total duration, let's say, of the bachelor's degree is 3 years. So after the diploma also, the total duration, including the diploma, remains 3 years. But the government UGC doesn't recognize that diploma.
Correct.
So there are a lot of students, if they have done a diploma, they prefer to go for a full year, 3 year bachelor's degree instead of doing a 2 year bachelor degree. So because there is an issue with UGC because they don't recognize diplomas, so this is why this is the confusion happening. But for private companies, it's not a problem. It mainly happens with government jobs and government institutes.
I'll have one more this thing. In India, we call
Yes.
these courses bridge course. Instead of pathway,
Yes.
we call them
Yes.
bridge courses.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Now, suppose a student completes the BBA here, a
Yes, sir.
2 year MBA also here, and
Yes,
after
sir.
that, can he or she do a specialization PG diploma abroad? And if he or she does it, will that add to the value of that particular student in the career market?
Sir, of course, yes. In fact, I have few students who have done that. I mean, I have few students who have done their MBA, let's say 5 years back, for example. Now they have about 3 to 4 years of work experience. Now they want to go abroad for work, but they know it would be too difficult for them to get a job directly. I mean, it would be very difficult because they have Indian education, they have Indian work experience. But let's say they want to work in Australia, for example. So what they do is they go for a 1 year specialized course, specialization in a particular field. They do that 1 year course and they apply for a job. Yes, so it adds advantage. They learn a new skill. Along with the skill, they get an advantage to go to that particular country and settle down in 1 year's time and then apply for a job. So yes, sir, a lot of people with experience, especially people with experience, with some work experience, they have been doing this. Let's say they have done an MBA, they have worked for a few years in India, now they want to upgrade, they want to migrate. So they go for a short course and then they apply for the jobs in that particular country, sir. Let's talk about PhD, sir. Let's say New Zealand. New Zealand is very popular for PhD. Why? Because the tuition fees for PhD in New Zealand is only about 2.5, 3 lakh rupees per year. That's it. And for PhD in New Zealand, they allow you to travel as a couple. I mean, the spouse can travel and your children can also travel. And the children will be studying in school with domestic fees. They don't have to pay international fees. And your spouse can work full time, that is 40 hours per week. And you as a student, PhD student, you are eligible for part-time job, so even you can earn. So basically the 2.5 3 lakh rupees tuition fees that you give for PhD, that you can easily earn while working in New Zealand itself.
Correct.
So we have a lot of students who prefer to go to New Zealand for PhD. So every country has their own, offerings.
I think a lot of confusions have been cleared by you.
Thank you, sir.
So I'll again request the students if they have any questions. I have asked a few on their behalf. So if they
No
have
problem,
any
sir.
questions, they can ask.
I'm more than happy to help, sir. Even if they have any queries later on, they can, my email ID, they can always just shoot me an email or any other way they want to communicate with me. Not a
No,
problem at all. I'll be more than happy.
in a forum like this, the advantage is one student asks a question, but
Everybody
all
gets
the
to know.
students get the benefit of the answer.
Yes,
Uh,
yes.
so I'll prefer them to to ask as many questions as possible right now. Later on, of course, they can contact you. But
I will highly recommend students to be proactive. The opportunities will not come by themselves. They have to create the opportunities. They have to keep this in mind. It's no point blaming the institute or anybody. They have to take the onus. They have to take the responsibility. They have to approach their faculty if they're looking for any kind of help. They should not
correct.
expect that opportunities will come to them by themselves or the faculty will come and help them. They have to go and take the help. They have to be proactive. Otherwise, they'll land nowhere, and it's no point complaining in anybody for anything.
No, no, I have interacted with this batch of students, the final semester. They're a very they're a bunch of responsible adults,
Thank you.
and I was very
Good to know.
impressed by the way they interacted with me. So I'm sure they know how to take responsibility. For whatever happens in our lives, we are not school children anymore. So every action we take, we seek guidance from others, we take advice from seniors, elders, teachers. But ultimately, it's our decision in life.
Yes, sir.
So they do take, and our BBA students, they do take responsibility for their every act
Excellent,
of theirs.
excellent, excellent, sir.
So any questions, even teachers present, they can ask questions. Like I had 2, 3 questions on behalf of students, as I have been hearing over the years. So if you have any questions, even you can ask.
Yeah, anyone, students, anyone, you have any confusion in your mind regarding, you can discuss. Maybe a question, maybe a discussion, anything you can discuss is out here.
And one thing again, I would like to repeat. Please, students, do not do a master's degree just for the heck of it, or somebody tells you, okay, if you do an MBA, you'll be successful. If you do a CMA, you'll be successful. No, please identify your passion. Please make sure that whatever you study in your master's will be your career. Throughout your life, you have to do that. So please make sure that before you jump to a conclusion or before you start a course, please go through the entire curriculum, entire course, that what you will be studying, what you will be learning, and then decide whether it's of your interest or not, rather than just assuming that you'll become successful. Whatever you study, if you are good at what you study, if you are really passionate about what you've studied, you will definitely be successful. There is no doubt about it. But you really have to be good at what you study. You really have to be passionate about what you study. Is everybody online?
Yes, sir.
Yes, everyone is there. Everyone is listening to you.
Yeah, any other queries, or how should we go forward?
Anyone having anything to discuss, you can discuss it with sir right now. I said, as it might be a question, it might be any kind of discussion you want to make. You can go ahead.
Hello. Yes, sir. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, please.
Sir, I have actually gone through the course offered by LPU MBA.
A
MBA.
lovely professional university.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
So, sir, can you please tell me something about that? How doing MBA from LPU as per you?
See, officially on this platform, I cannot talk good or bad about a particular institute. But to be honest, it's not a very reputed institute. And personally, I will recommend you to do a little bit more research. LPU is not among not even top 200 institutes in India for MBA. In short, that is the way I can tell you. So please give a second thought to it, doing an MBA from LPU. again, touch wood, because of my experience, I have few students who have done their engineering from LPU. I have students who have done their hospitality courses from LPU. uh, it has been a really bad experience. So I will
Okay.
request you to please again reconsider, do some more research, and I'm sure you will be able to find some better institutes as well.
Okay, sir.
I am aware LPU runs a vegetarian hospitality program,
Yes, yes, sir.
which is unthinkable, which is
Yes,
something
impossible.
impossible.
Yes,
So this
yes.
problem is there.
Yes, sir. So I would highly request you to please do a little bit more research. Just don't do an MBA for the heck of it. You'll be spending 2 years of your time. You'll be spending 2 years so much of valuable money. At the end of the 2 years, you'll be back to square one. So please don't do that. Do a little
No,
bit more research.
Yeah.
I'll expect our teachers to do some research on this so
Yes.
that they can also guide the students.
I will
So,
just ask a question here actually.
hmm.
Mr. Agarwal, good evening.
Yes. Good evening. Good evening. Please, Mr. Vinandan. Yes, please.
Yeah, so what one question I had is, it clearly seems to me that research is something that you are stressing on quite a lot.
Yes. Yes.
Could you share some tips with our students regarding how they could go about their research?
Yes, first of all, most of the students I just see is they just go to Google and write top 10 institutes, and they think, yes, they have done the research, or they just go through the ranking. No, you have to get, please understand, most of the institutes, please note down, most of the institutes have their own Facebook pages. Most of the institutes have their now Instagram pages. Most of the institutes now they have their own website. Most of the institutions have their own YouTube channels. Most of the institutes have students who write blogs, about those institutes. So please make a holistic research. Just going to Google and writing top 10 institutes will not help you. You can go to the respective websites, as I told you earlier as well. You can check the curriculum of the courses, what exactly they will teach you. You can also check the profile of the faculties of that particular institute, that who are the faculty they will be teaching you, what kind of background the faculties have. So let's say I'm institute A, I'm number one, but I am number one, maybe I'm number one in hospitality, but I'm not number one in MBA. So just number one will not help you. You have to understand, if it's number one, it's number one in which particular stream. If it is, let's say it's a number one in biology, but you want to study chemistry, it's of no use. So just going through generic ranking will not help you. Just going through Google and writing top 10 institutes will not help you. You have to go to the website of those institutes, get them into the detail, when it was established, what are the approvals they have, whether it is UGC recognized, whether it is recognized by different platforms of government, what courses they offer. So everything, it has to be a holistic research. There is no shortcut to success, as everybody says. And the tougher it to get an admission to an institute means, it will be worth it. The easier it is means it's I mean, that is how it is. The more difficult to get, the more valuable it will be. Thank you, Mr. Vinandan. I hope it answers.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, even the blogs are very important. Blogs are written by students, real-time students who are in those particular institutes. They write their experiences about that institute, how they feel, what they say. Because in internet there is overflow of information. There are a lot of information that is manipulated, which is manipulated by different institutes. Even the rankings are being manipulated these days. So it's always, I personally, to my students who take counseling from me, I try to connect them to students who are studying in that particular institute. For let's say my student wants to study in university A. So generally, I have students who are studying in that university A. So I connect my students to real-time students who are studying in that particular university, so that they get real-time information rather than information which is just given on the internet, which can be easily manipulated.
Right. And also, so just tell us one more thing, that now it's already in the month of, let's say the month of May is almost here.
Yes.
So
Yes.
when we are looking at India admissions and when we're looking at overseas admissions, in the present scenario of COVID-19, when should students, you know, take the step towards this? And, what are the steps to be done from now on?
As far as my research goes, I've been reading a lot of articles. As far as my research goes, even there is an article from Government of India yesterday. Has been a proposal that they should start the new session in the month of September, and that's the earliest date that I can think of as per the government resources. But the thing to be noted is the admission process is on. The classes may start in September, but the admission process, everything is going online. Everything can be done online. So if a student really wants to do a, let's assume you are in a final year of BBA and you're about to finish, let's say April or May, whatever. So if you're planning to do a master's, there is no stopping. You can start your research, you can start, put up your application, you can complete your admission process, you can pay the tuition fees, but the classes will start at a later stage. So yes, so even if you're planning to do a master's, yes, you can go ahead and you can complete your process, you can do your research, you can put the application, everything can be done online, and everything is being done online.
And what about
I hope.
overseas? Overseas.
Yeah, even for overseas. For example, today morning I put up an application for UK. On Saturday I had put in a, so yes, admission even for the overseas is on. What they are doing it right now is, let's say UK, for example, the UK, the new batch will start in September 2020. So right now they are giving us offer letters for September 2020. What they have told us is, if they are not able to start the classes on time in September, then they will go for two options. Either they will postpone the intake, in the sense they will send a revised offer letter later on, let's say for January 2021, or they will give the students the option of to start their classes online from India, and whenever the border opens up, they can travel to that particular country. For let's say September, let's say they start online classes in UK, in December the border opens, the students can fly in January. So they are giving us two options right now, but which one will be implemented, we are waiting for that.
Okay. And if anyone wants to go overseas, how much time does it take to prepare? When should they give their exams and TOEFL exams, GMAT exams?
On an average, the students should give themselves 6 months time, out of which the most critical, I would say, is about 1.5, 2 months to do your research. You have to identify which country you want to go to, then you have to identify which course you want to go to for, and third is which university you want to apply for. So there are three questions: which country, which course, and which university. After you have decided this, then there are 3 4 parameters you have to look at. What is your budget, how much you are willing to spend, so accordingly you have to identify that university or a country. Then you have to identify whether you just want to go for a degree, get a good education, want to come back, or whether you want to stay back. So there are a lot of other parameters that you have to look into and then come to a conclusion. So on an average, a student takes about 6 months time to research, prepare for the exams, give the exam, start the application, get an offer letter, accept the offer letter, apply for a visa. On an average, it takes about 6 months time on a minimum.
Right. So basically, from what I can gather is you're suggesting that students, if they want to go for India admissions, they should take steps right now. And even for overseas admissions, they need to start taking the research and doing everything right now itself, so that if not the
Yes,
September session, they can at least apply for the next session.
of course, yes. I mean, to be honest, again, I'm repeating, all the admission processes are on. India, overseas, everything is on. The classes are also happening online. The only thing is, for new students, the new batches, the classes may happen online, or they may shift or they may postpone the intake. Otherwise, everything is active, everything is on. So yes, the students should go ahead with their research, and they should go ahead with their application process, whether it be India or abroad.
Right. And also in abroad, I believe there are more than one intakes, right, in a year.
A majority of the countries, they generally have two intakes, majority of the countries, but there are few countries who also have a three intake. Canada generally follows three intakes. Australia follows two intake, New Zealand follows two intake, UK follows two intake. So yeah, on an average they have a minimum of two intake, and it goes up to three intakes in a year.
You're right. So
And majority of the countries, they ask you to give one exam called IELTS, English exam. That's about reading, writing, listening, and speaking of English. So that is why it's very important for the students to have very good English.
right. Okay, so I believe that more or less gives the students a complete picture. And yeah, so I think so Mr. Agarwal, thank you for the session.
Thank you so much, Mr. Abhinandan, for inviting me.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank
I
you,
hope
Mr. Agarwal.
I hope I've
Mm.
added some value and knowledge to our students.
You absolutely have. You absolutely have. You have answered a lot of very pertinent questions. So I'm sure our students have benefited a lot.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
It is my pleasure. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank
I'll
you.
sign off.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, students, for being part. Thank you, everyone.